Good day, everybody. This time around, we are talking about the Purge. More or less, should we have one? Is it a good idea? Would it really work in our world, or does it have to be a very stylised, fictional setting for it to play out at all? Or does it really work in the movies or TV show? As in, are there so many plot holes that we only accept it because they work out to be really good action films? Or does it play through pretty well? Rightio, first of all, Purge life. For me, I think right off the bat, whenever anybody says to you, what would you do in the Purge, the first thing everybody goes to is something overt, something aggressive, and I'm going to murder somebody, I'm going to rape somebody, I'm going to rob a bank or something like that, right? Or I'm just going to set fire to a bunch of stuff and see what happens. Now I'm saying that, it all sounds quite amusing. But would it not be smarter to first of all think, how am I going to keep myself safe? Because that was my first thought when somebody said to me, what would you do on Purge Night? I'd be like, okay, well, start concreting up my basement or something like that, right? How are you going to keep yourself safe for 12 hours? And then you've always got a fallback, and if you decide you want to go out and raise hell, I guess you've got that option. But, I don't know, what would you do? What's the first thing you'd do on Purge Night?
Well, I definitely wouldn't go out. If those films teach you anything, it's, you only go out if you really are intending to achieve a particular goal. I wouldn't have any such goal really, other than to pretty much stay alive, so that going out would be a bit of a silly thing to do. Unless of course I was in any kind of like life circumstances where I was on a flat broke and needed to make money somehow using Purge Night. But in terms of the murder side of things, nah, I can barely punch someone in the face, let alone murder anyone. So
barely. I was barely punching someone in the face. I still technically did it, but my heart wasn't in it. I really didn't feel like...
In a sense, yeah, basically, at the risk of kind of diverting this conversation somewhat, I think it's more of a self-defence thing, really, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah, but yes, the same concept, of course, goes for murder, really, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be top of my list, anything, overtly violent like that, although... The idea of being able to detach yourself from the fact you've murdered somebody in as much as doing it like in Day of the Dead, sitting on a roof and shooting people with a sniper rifle, that kind of thing. Obviously there's zombies in that scenario, so they're already dead, it doesn't count. But in this scenario, I think I might be the kind of person that would be able to live with it if I was sniping someone from a long distance. If you had to aggressively go out and capture somebody and mutilate them and stuff like that, or hold a gun straight to the head, doesn't really sound like it's my kettle of fish. But I don't know, it might be fun, just target practice. As long as you got to qualify that they're bad, they look like they're doing bad stuff. If they chase, there's a screaming family running, and then you see like some Mad Max type looking motherfuckers, then sitting on a roof with a sniper rifle, yeah, I think they'd be fair game, to be honest, and I could probably sleep well afterwards. But I think main objective is probably keep yourself safe, and then once you've established that, figure out a way in which you could, rob a bank or acquire some diamonds, or basically financially set yourself up for the rest of your life, because it does seem to me that they've taken the opportunity to explore the lack of laws and make essentially gory action films. But why isn't everybody just going out and stealing stuff, making money? I guess if everybody did, then it would be a case of who got there first and who had the bigger gun, that kind of stuff. But you'd still get your action in. I mean, off the top of my head, it seems like a plot hole, but that would still drive the story forward. I think most people's impetus for doing something would be financial stability and safety, keeping themselves safe. I think those are probably the two ideals. One is more overt and one's more introvert, but I think though you could still build a story and a movie around those concepts of everybody trying to get something for themselves, and you'd still get your action sequences in, because people would be battling each other trying to get to whatever the financial objective is, the diamond exchange or the yacht that you're going to steal or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? You'd still get your action sequences in, you'd still get people fighting each other for the end goal, because the end goal would be worth it, the juice is worth the squeeze, to quote another movie. But why didn't they do that? They seem to have fixated entirely too much on just people going around murdering people. The other thing, because I don't think the answer to that past question is probably really simple. They just wanted to make a gory action film. That's the quickest way to get to it. It's probably the boring answer. The other thing that we talked about is the moral aspect. I think they touch on a little bit is this sort of thing as an event conceptually seems to be designed to keep the poor poor and progressively keep eliminating those poor people. So it's sort of cutting off the bottom of society, and then you get to say stuff like, unemployment's dropped massively because we just killed all the unemployed people last Purge Night, so that's great. Or there's no homeless people anymore because we just killed them all. Is that the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do? Morally speaking, it's almost certainly the wrong thing to do, but from a point of view of somebody running a country, being more pragmatic about it and less emotional, what do you reckon? Right or wrong thing to do, broadly speaking?
Well, broadly speaking, I mean, the obvious thing, generally speaking, is that it's morally wrong and you should never do it, obviously, but to, kind of play devil's advocate and put yourself in their mindset, you can sort of understand why they decided to do that, but ultimately there's a lot of assumptions. Was there anything else they could have done before resorting to, literally using a purge night in order to kind of end that problem?
I think in America the answer is no. Violence is almost certainly always the first resort. Could we have done anything? I don't care, I've already shot him. Oh, okay. We probably could have helped. Don't worry about it, he's dead now. Doesn't matter. Next Purge Night, woo, let's go. It's the American dream. Come over here, get shot. It'll be great. Can own a really big car. We'll watch each other drown and states disappear little by little as we destroy the planet and all that stuff. America, yeah. Good times, Byron. We should go to America. Let's go on holiday. Let's do a road trip. Be fun. We can drive through all the states with our fingers out the window, just flipping them off, and wait and see how long it is before we get shot. I'm thinking we get about 10 miles. Depending on what state we start in, to be fair. If we started in like Texas, we'd probably get 2 miles, and then we'd definitely get shot. We might not even make it to the rental car in Texas. We just turn up and talk in an English accent, we get shot straight away.
You get shot at the airport before you can get off the plane.
Yeah, we just fly in, we just landed in Texas, and then just gunfire starts going off. It's like Passenger 57, shit's hit the fan. Oh yeah, it'd be great. Dodge the bullets. You would have to be Neo to be able to survive modern day America, I think. It's probably why they're remaking the Matrix, or making a new Matrix. Just kind of show people, look, this is what you do when bullets start flying. Except it's not. Oh dear. So, Purge. Let's have a think. On the subject of would it work in our real world? I mean, almost certainly not, but we live in strange times. Things that we always thought were never ever going to happen either have happened or look like they're going to happen. Every time you look at the news lately, it seems like one more bizarre thing has happened. It's definitely a time of escalating crisis. So I think there's something innate in human beings that makes people want to be destructive, or do things we're not allowed to do something that's taboo. There's always going to be an allure to stuff like that. And as I mentioned to you before, so I heard somebody say recently that it's ridiculous because the laws aren't the only thing stopping people from going out and committing all sorts of atrocities. But I think to a large degree they probably are. I'm not thinking every single person immediately is going to go out and break the law, but then in the Purge films, not every single person goes out and breaks the law. I think there is a lot of people who probably wouldn't stop themselves doing something bad if they knew that there were no repercussions. If you have a fender bender with somebody and you're just having a really bad day and you get out your car and pull someone out of the car and just beat the living hell out of them, I think more people would be inclined to do stuff like that. and then maybe the family of that person want to retaliate, and it escalates, doesn't it? It becomes an eye for an eye kind of thing, and then Purge Night comes around, and those people are like, okay, I've targeted you now. I think being a bit more cerebral as a nation, places like Britain and Germany will probably find that the rest of the other 364 days of the year are spent secretly, silently planning who you're going to go after on Purge Night, to just making a mental list of all the people that have wronged you, like the milkman knocked my bottles over or something, or the cat woke me up, so the cat's gone, that's it, Purge Night comes round, like the cat's gone, that's it, it's done. I love cats, by the way. Let's change that to a dog. The dog's gone. I know you like dogs, don't you?
I do.
Some animal that isn't a cat or a dog that woke us up in the middle of the night and has pissed me off is dead on Purge Night. Anyway, a roundabout way of getting to the point that I think it would vary per country. If you did it on a global scale, the way it played out, let's just say, for example, we live in a society where there is one global governance for broad things, not for everything, not for the minutiae of how you pay your road tax and what speed limit is and stuff like that, but for big things, like somebody just says, okay, everybody, you're having a purge once a year, crack on, here's the rules, go for your life. I think it would be a really interesting experiment to see how that played out in each individual country. Australia, for example, absolutely huge, massive chunks of it with nothing at all. No people, no animals, no nothing. Somewhere like the Atacama Desert in South America, where there is no life whatsoever. You could just hide somewhere like that. That does take away the argument of just leaving the country on Purge Night, because obviously you could just go to Canada, spend a weekend in Canada while Purge Night's going on. You watch some bears, have some maple syrup, play a bit of hockey, do some curling. Good times, and people will be polite to you and say please and thank you and stuff like that. You might even change your mind about living in America and think, it's pretty nice here, I'm going to stay in Canada. Go to Mexico, go to Tijuana, it's pretty much Purge Night anyway. It's Purge Night 365 days a year in Tijuana. Or go somewhere a bit nicer in Mexico and just relax by the beach, have some tacos or something like that. Some Mexican food of choice. You've been to Mexico. There's nothing to do with the purge. I'm just curious.
I think I went to Mexico. I don't think I had any Mexican food.
Didn't have any tortillas.
No.
10,000 chicken fajitas.
The hotel I was at pretty much had restaurants for every other type of food in the world.
Go to Mexico for the Chinese food.
I know Japanese twice. I remember that.
What kind of Japanese? Are we talking sushi?
Yes, that what's that? That chain in America, is that Benihana or something like that?
Oh, with the teppanyaki grill thing, where they have the grill right in front of you.
Yeah, they slice stuff in front of you and then literally just pretty much throw it up.
Oh man, there's a place you don't want to be on Purge Night. With that dude losing his shit with the skillets and everything and the fucking big meat cleavers and... What if you're out for dinner, you forget it's Purge Night and it goes past 7 PM, you're eating dinner and then the chef just loses it. He's worked like a 60-hour week making Japanese food for people that he doesn't like and getting underpaid, and he just freaks out and starts hacking people up. And then the next night, the next day what happens? Is it just, do they even report in the paper like the success of Purge Night, what happened? Or, like Dave down the road lost it and burnt his house to the ground. He just sat in his front garden laughing to himself, and everyone's like, oh yeah, so Dave. Is it just really mundane the next day because people are so used to there being loads of horrific things for 12 hours? The clean-up crew come in and then everything's back to normal. But do people talk about it, They talk about what happened? Or is it all just repressed?
Well, it's a difficult one because I think only the second season of the TV show actually shows the time between purges. Whereas all the others literally just focus, of course, on the Purge Night, the build up to it starting, and then obviously all the events that happen during, and then the end of it, and then they sort of tie it up very quickly, and there's the end of the film. But the TV show kind of handles the in-between bits, what happens on a Purge Night, and then the survivors, obviously have to deal with each other throughout the rest of the year leading up until the next one. And yeah, I mean, based on that, it kind of seems very mundane, very bog standard suburban life. Neighbours who now hate each other, kind of pretending that they can get along, but each knowing that round two's coming up.
This time next year, you're for it. That's it. We're done. I've had enough of it. Keep cutting my hedge down when you mow lawn and shit like that. That kind of neighbourly nonsense. That's my boundary. And then somebody dies, because these are the kinds of things that do escalate. There was some woman recently that stabbed her husband to death. I think she's just been found guilty of it, and she admitted to it and said, "I wish I'd stabbed him more." And I was like, okay, I mean, at least you're owning up to it. Let's not beat about the bush. It's what I like about living here in England, to be honest. People, by and large, don't beat about the bush. We don't like it as a nation. You just think if someone's waffling, like we are, you just think to yourself, get to the point. Come on, just do you kill him or not? No? Right, okay, let's move on. Next. In America, you can waffle. They've made a whole E-network. There's a whole television network about waffling on nonsense. So, different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But here's the thing. Obviously, in a film, you need certain things to drive the plot in the direction that you want it to go in. You need, especially in a film where there's going to be action scenes and chases and stuff like that. But if the Purge really happened, people would be super prepared. It's the same day every year. You know what time it's happening. How does it happen that you get caught out in the Purge? Because that happens. Somebody's like, "Oh, my car's broken down," or whatever, or I'm running short on time to get home. I'm not going to make it home in time. You just wouldn't go into work that day. You'd be, "I don't care if you fire me. It's Purge night. I'd rather get fired than die. I'm going to stay at home." Okay, it's just. And here's the other thing: the day after Purge night, is that the emergency services equivalent of Black Friday? Is it just absolutely nuts for them? Presumably it's going to be a whole lot of people in the hospital. Morgues are going to be overrun. The police are going to be overrun. There's probably a bunch of fires that need putting out. Is it just... What if some of those emergency services people have been killed? They're just at home with their family trying to mind their own business or whatever, and they've been killed. So you've potentially got a shortage of emergency services staff. And then there's like a whole bunch of injured and dead people that need to be handled, and a whole bunch of a building isn't just going to stop being on fire because it goes 7:01, or whatever the time is. It's still going to be on fire. It still needs putting out. What if a crime happens as a result of a crime that happened during the Purge? Like, let's say you set a building on fire with people in it, but they don't die until after Purge night. Are you responsible or not? Where's the law stand on that? These are things that people need to think through. It's not just make an hour and a half of nonsense and people killing each other. I want to know the minutiae of the world they live in and they inhabit. I want a charter of specific rules and procedures for doing things. Where's the council, the local borough council that service these places? Who's the MP? It's I don't know. Maybe it doesn't interest other people, but I think that's a question worth asking. How are these things and you could, in a more serious vein, you could write something like that into a film. You could write an instance where a couple of people, two main characters are talking in front of a TV, and there's a headline on the TV in the background about how the first person was acquitted posthumously of a Purge crime because it resulted in a crime after the Purge, or something like that. You know what I mean? It wouldn't even have to be a line of dialogue, but it'd be a cool little Easter egg to drop in. Well, and then it starts to build the world a little bit more. I think if you think about it, more popular movies, especially movies that transition into a franchise, they become more popular because the world is really well built out that these movies take place in. Like the Marvel movies, for example. That's why they're so popular, is because there's all this interaction between the superheroes, and there's all these little details of Spider-Man's world in Iron Man's world, and Thor is there. And do you know what I mean? All their worlds are fleshed out, and they exist, and they're built out, and all the little details are there. And it's the little details that make something believable. So you can suspend disbelief better, even though you're watching these fantastical things happen. And like in the Harry Potter films, for example, It's because it comes from very long text. There's a lot of world to be able to put together, and I think something like Purge is obviously popular because a lot of people like watching cool stuff happen that is really never going to happen in real life. I suppose similar to the Fast and Furious franchise. But if you build that world out a bit more with the details, I think it'll probably be more popular, and they'd be able to run on longer. You'd probably get another few movies out of it. But as it is, as a recording, I don't know if they're doing it anymore. Do you know?
I think so. They had one out not that long ago, actually. I think it was called The Purge Forever, I believe it was called. So yeah, they continued it on with that, and well, obviously not to spoil it or anything like that, but it feels like they could do more if they really wanted to. But it does seem like, although it definitely feels like there's a lot more they could tackle, it feels like they're running out of material.
And this is my point, because if you build the world out more, then you've got so many other things you can focus on, because you can look at the Purge taking place from different people's perspectives. You know, there's obviously the primary focus of the rich-poor divide and the class system and stuff like that, but you could pick any character that you've placed in this world that inhabits a different element that you haven't looked at before, and make them the main focus of the film. Gives it a completely different slant, but you've still got the big hits happening that are going to keep people, fans of the previous ones, entertained. It might bring new fans in. It might keep people watching who were perhaps dubious about it because it feels like it's losing steam, that kind of stuff. But you know, what do we know? We don't run Hollywood, unfortunately. So
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, next Tuesday, but up until then, I'm pretty much free. So that's about it. Okay, basically, first question was, should there be a purge? Given current day, not changing anything about the structure of society or government or anything like that. Should there be a purge? Byron, what do you reckon?
No.
No. Okay. I think probably the right way to go as well. I think our answer, unilaterally, should there be a purge? No, there shouldn't. Terrible idea. Will there be a purge? Do you know what? I think given the next sort of 50, 60 years, I think maybe one state of America might split off and decide they're just going to do it for fun. Probably Texas. But currently, no, I can't see it happening. Don't think it would be a good idea. Fun concept for a film. I think, let's be honest, the films and the TV series probably exist because of it's a conceptual idea, and it's not there's loads of action films out there, but you watch it because it's a cool idea. But there shouldn't be one. It will never happen, certainly not in this country, and that's all we've got to say about that.